what color to paint your walls in neutral is a safe bet, but there are more than 50 shades of gray. Sharon's back to help you decide which one to use. In fact, there are probably thousands.
There are thousands, and just to give you a little glimpse, this is probably just hundreds, because this is just from one fan deck, but look at all of those grays.
All of these grays.
So now do you understand why it's so difficult when you want to choose a gray?
Yes, and we all love gray.
We love gray. It's such a classic. It's so versatile. It's really the contemporary neutral,
yes.
and it has been for the past decade, and it isn't going away. And I think it's because there's so much complexity in it.
Yes.
So you can really make it work with different styles: modern, traditional, contemporary. You can do everything, but it is so difficult to choose. So I really wanted to show why. I wanted to show why. I wanted to break down gray so we can get an idea of why people will call me and say, "Oh, it looks really green in my house," or "It looks really purple."
It looks brown.
It looks brown.
Yeah, why?
It'll look different in your house, in my house, in everybody's house. So it's
There's
really
a reason
important.
why. You made an amazing chart here, which really just shows the point so
Doesn't
effectively.
it show it?
There's a warm side and a cool side, and it's so obvious.
Warm, cool. It's so obvious. And you might even think they don't look gray, but when you put the grays, pull them out separately, look at them in the context of whether it's other colors, other grays, or other things in your home, you realize why it pulls out the purple or it pulls out the green.
Yes.
So it's really important, A, that you think about the right undertone for your home. So you want to think about your decor. You want to think about your lighting. You want to try out that gray in your space at different times of the day. Really, really popular gray forever has been Revere Pewter. Here, it looks beige.
It does.
Right? So again, you want to think about, is that going to be the right one for you? Just because we see it all over Pinterest. Bring a bunch home, take a look at them, okay?
So often it's not that you've chosen the wrong gray, it's that you've chosen everything else wrong. The gray is fine. Yeah, you have to figure out what works with that gray you've chosen.
Because color is not in isolation. It never is. It's about everything else. So Tracy, grade 2, what makes up gray?
Black and white.
Very good. Good answer. So let's see. Black and white really does make gray. So I'm going to mix this up just with some simple little art lesson here. So we're going to make a light gray. The more black you have, the darker
the gray
it's going to be. The more white you have later. So here we have a nice light gray. Very simple. But the problem is this isn't what we use to make paint. We don't just use black and white pigment, right? We want to put these undertones in not to confuse you, but because it makes the gray more interesting. And it's something that you have more options. So what happens if I take a little bit of this, I'll brush it out the way it is over here, and you can see it's a light gray. It's a little bit cooler because the black and white is quite cool. But if I add a tiny touch of, whether it's red oxide if it's at your paint store, or I've got burnt sienna here in the art, and then I mix it in, you start to get that little bit of a pink undertone. So I'm not saying that you want to actually ask for the formula, because the formula isn't going to make sense, but I just want you to see how the color can really change with just a little bit of pigment.
Oh, that changed a lot.
It's really obvious there. And then if you have a little bit of blue,
red undertones.
Exactly. Oops, that's a lot of blue, so that's really going to show up. But we'll see really quickly how obvious it is. You don't need a lot, you just need a little bit, and you can see there, you've got more of a cooler gray.
Nice.
Now, it can be really difficult to choose because we don't always have a very neutral one, but Benjamin Moore's color of the year this year for 2019 is Metropolitan, and it is a very classic, versatile, neutral. And I painted the back of this with Metropolitan,
so
you get that's Metropolitan. This is Metropolitan.
What's great about that is you use that in warm or cool. So we're going to show you that. So basically, Sharon has solved the problem for you. So Metropolitan is going to work regardless of what your space is. Talk to us about how you're using it in that space.
So in this space, I really wanted to pull out the cool in the Metropolitan. So again, working with cooler materials, even not thinking about your light source in this case, but pulling out cooler. White can be very cool, add that graphic effect. A little bit of blue in your furnishings. Again, this is a warmer gray. It still works with the overall feel, because the key is you don't want everything warm and everything cool. So if you've got Metropolitan looking cooler, you want to add some sheen, you want to get more of that acrylic or glass, silver, reflective materials. like a beautiful Carrara marble. You want to bring in all of those materials that add to the coolness, but then touches of gold. Like, and that's key right now, is to add that little hit of warmth to it. So again, we have this nice, sleek, cool feel. But it doesn't mean that if your house is, you've got more wood, you've got a more natural rustic feel, you can, but you want gray, you can still use a slightly cooler gray like Metropolitan and bring in all of those beautiful teaks. We've got a lot of teak in here. We've got more nubby materials in the rug, like it has that, you want to sort of touch it and feel it. Textures in the blankets. Layering is another way of sort of bringing that warmth into the space. The not velvet, that is a felted wool.
Felted wool. This feels amazing, like a good sweater.
So it exactly. So again, you can bring those warm, almost taupey, like the chair has a bit more of a taupey gray feel, and it works really well because now we've got all of our materials warm, but the wall feels a little cooler. So you want to get that little bit of balance where it's not 50-50, it's more like 80-20. So nice, cool Metropolitan on the wall, warm furniture from EQ3, by the way.
Nothing feels like it's fighting.
Right.
Which is what you want with your gray. You want it to all work together.
It's balance.
We want, and I know you want to help everyone with their paint projects. So Sharon has brought gift certificates for 1 gallon of paint for everyone in our audience. So enjoy that. I also want to mention that gorgeous vignette over there is from LT. So beautiful furniture. Thank you for that, Sharon.